We're going to dive into everything Australian sports.
This time for the big A's to win the game for Australia from nowhere.
Articulate why we want to have a bet.
Yeah, we love golf.
A little Papa.
And a look at across every other sport, particularly our fancy.
Where's Pappenhausen now?
Welcome to the Early Crow.
Rule number 1, never force a bet.
Welcome to the Early Crow, episode 9. Far's back, Paps still away, and I thought we were very good last week, Far, like real good. And the racing was hot, and the racing gets hotter. It's one of the great weekends of sport of all time. We've got AFL, NRL Grand Finals. We've got Group 1 racing Friday night at the Valley, which I think is your favourite track. Good meeting Saturday at Mornington, but you've also got a Group 1 meeting at Royal Randwick. And then we've got a great day's racing Sunday, Sandown. And on top of that, just a little layer for the people who love their golf. It's Ryder Cup week. And it's probably the best weekend of golf there is. So it's Masters or Ryder Cup for me, but yeah, you do you. How has your week been, mate? You've been doing a bit of research, I hear.
Mate, yeah, I was down at Moonee Valley Monday morning watching some work and just having a chat to a few of the jockeys and seeing what's happening down there. And then Monday night ended up at a Brownlow function and then ended up home very late that night. And I sort of had to pull myself up and go, hang on, it's a big week of sport. Don't go too hard on the Monday and empty the casket there. So, I've been chilling then, doing a bit of training and rehab, and I'm enjoying having a little bit of time off and getting to do some of the stuff I really enjoy. And one of those things is look at some horses that are running this weekend when they get a chance to run down at the Valley and have a look at the track.
We'll get to your sort of like your notes, your mail from watching the track work on Tuesday morning. We had 2 go round as well, mailbag bloodstock. Let's look back though at the week that was. Alligator Blood is probably the story of the week, racing wise in Victoria. 2 very, two big racing names: D. Oliver, Gay Waterhouse. Let's not forget Adrian Bott. But I'm not a narrative man, in horse racing. I'm a betting man. But there's a lot of narrative to get around with Alligator Blood and with Ollie. How'd you watch it, and what are your thoughts around the whole thing?
I watched it sick because I was against Alligator Blood. But I'll probably even you out a little bit there because I'm a huge narrative man for the racing. So I loved seeing D. Oliver get another Group 1. Gay Waterhouse, obviously, she's got a great affinity with this horse since its injury and has been really good to it. And I don't think it'll win another Group 1. I don't think it's going to compete in the big Group 1s again from here. But the fact that they got another one, good on them. And carry on. Well done.
It's a pretty phenomenal job that they do with their horses if you think about it. Like, that they've improved that horse gradually for a sustained period when it already was at an elite level and had a severe injury.
Yeah, huge injury. Like, to come back from that spinal surgery or whatever and to be able to build it to what they have has been phenomenal.
How'd you go Sunday, Flemington? It was a juicy sort of kick-off to like the smorgasbord that is punting and this Victorian, like, springers in the air footy finals. We get to have a meeting on a Sunday at Flemington headquarters, the best track in Australia. I'd firstly like to thank the gods, Bilbo Baggins, Mary Poppins, Ablett Senior and Junior for Muramasa. Really sort of straightened me up after a shaky. I mean, on the show last week, we were both yellow Sam. Maybe the worst ride all time, but probably not. But bad.
Bad.
$5 into favourite.
And the pattern was just against us. Who was it on that thing on the outside that brought it up and eyeballed us and went straight past?
Tatum Bull rolled across with our man Billy Pinn, who rides one for us at the mailbag today. And they just looked at Jamie and they said, Toots, how fast are we going? And she said, we're not going very fast. And they said, sweet, you're the boss. And they just sat off her and let her do whatever she wanted. And what she wanted was to win the race. And we took $5. We started favourite, but we didn't get paid a cent. We also, I tipped perfect at the death of the show at $10. Started favourite. Got too far back. Didn't get a win. It was a grim Saturday. And God bless Muramasa there on Sunday, which was a good day, I thought. How'd you go Sunday?
Mate, Sunday was my saving grace. I had your sheet to look at, which was good to help me out. And then I've actually, the one I had a go at a few. I found Gold Bullion. Also found Wolfie, just because I love that horse, and those two got me started right for the day. And then I've just had a quick look at your sheet, just floating through, and I saw Muramasa, and I backed it in the Derby last year after its run at Caulfield, and I went, it's not like this. There isn't enough strength in this race for this to be a $22 horse. And then I had a look at its prep and going, all right, this is a good bet here. And
plus gelded, and your speed map too was spot on, like where it was going to sit, and the track was playing to suit. And I went, right, I'll have a bit of a stab at this, and I think I ended up like plus 30 units or something for Sunday. Like, just silly. And then on Saturday, on my tips, I was 5 units out and only 1.5 units back. So it was a bit of a saving grace for me. I wish I could have helped a few of the punters out, but you just got to get on Dicko's mailbag there, and we'll all get in the Discord and we'll go for it. The Discord's fun, isn't it, with the gifts. They love the gifts.
It's good.
It's a lot of Kenny Powers, he's bound and down activity in the GIF in our Discord. Sydney, recapping Sydney last week. I think the militarised. I think you tipped it or I tipped it. Full credit to us. Very good win. Good horse. Great race. The horse that interests me the most maybe out of that meeting is Osmosis and Espiona. So Osmosis, the young colt, probably goes to the Everest. How good is he? Probably has upside. And I have a sneaking suspicion that Espiona, even though she's 5-year-old mare, I think she's an extreme choice mare, it's just going to a little bit of a new level.
Yeah. 100%. Remember her 3-year-old, 4-year-old seasons? She was just constantly dodging tracks. Right, so this was the prep, this was the setup, dodge the track. This was the prep, this was the setup, dodge the track. And when you have these track all interrupted, and then you're on a deck that you probably don't like anyway, you're never going to perform. Like, imagine these boys this week in the AFL. Here's your grand final, boys. Your grand final. Here we go. Get yourself pumped up. Get ready. Actually, can it? We're going to push it to next week. It'd absolutely it would mentally and physically chop them up. And I think that's what we saw with Espiona. And now she's got a stable prep where she's got upside. I think she's getting better as she gets a little bit older and a bit more mature. And we're seeing the horse that she always could have been.
Which horse, if you had to take one, you
from
come
the
and join,
Sydney meet only?
You come and join me at Mailbag Bloodstock.
Yep.
We find an owner and he goes, boys, you unlimited. You can go and buy one of them out of the Golden Rose.
Out of the Golden Rose, you can't go past militarised. Like, how would you choose anyone else? Unless you're forgiving Shinzo for the fact that he pulled up lame and going, he's the best horse in the race, and he just got done because he pulled up sore.
And then I think I'd lean Shinzo, but Charmstone, I think, is as good as him, and can just drop back to these juicy, rich mares only races for the rest of her career. Yeah,
but if you're an owner, all you got to do is go down and win the Guineas, and then you're a stallion prospect.
Well, half of them already are.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I don't know. I'd like to see militarised Stepardi face off run 1-2 in the Caulfield Guineas, or even run 2-3 behind Wolfie because they got him at hundreds. But run 1-2 there, and then go to the Cox Plate, and both of them get in at the lightweights there. Because the Cox Plate field, it's not going to be super strong this year because all these horses are going to back away from Romantic Warrior, I think.
I was thinking about that last week because I was saying how much I love the Golden Rose and I probably love the Caulfield Guineas the most. I reckon that's because as a younger punter and an Australian punter, you can really get your head around these horses. You've seen them run as 2-year-olds and you've followed their progression. If you're sick, you've watched them trial before. They might have trialled twice and you're going, that was a nice trial, they didn't make the races. Compared to a Melbourne Cup and a Caulfield Cup and a particularly Cox Plate, where you kind of got to wait and see, what's the report on this Japanese or Hong Kong or Irish horse? Has it come over and has it settled in well? Are they saying it's settled in well? Because it'll probably win.
Romantic Warrior.
Yeah, any of them though. I mean, you can connect. I think I can connect better to, and the punter connects better to a Guineas and a Golden Rose and an Everest because you know these horses.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more.
Speaking of the Guineas, the party was very, very good, I thought.
Huge.
How much of an advantage do we give it that it's like a Caulfield horse now?
Like a huge advantage. I've got it marked as my favourite over Militarised, not by much, but I've got it at number 1. I think like that run it had, everything went wrong. It lost 2 lengths at the bend. It was back. It had to come out probably into a little bit inferior ground on the outside there, and it absolutely stormed them. It came home, and that was what I probably hadn't seen from Stapati yet, like that ability to just bury a race and just chase down and close the gap so quick, because it's always had it pretty soft. That was what I think I said last week. Stapati has it soft in runs. That absolutely didn't have a soft run, and it stormed home.
Because it was coming through that sort of weaker start to its career that you weren't sure how strong was that form, but he just keeps knocking them over. I think his big edge too is Prushka's a trainer that's like, it's a fact that he improves horses into a prep. That's one big positive, and the other positive is he does possess tactical speed. I think Sheelight was as good as him on Saturday and is a fair price in the Guineas versus his price, but he's going to have to be very good and very lucky in the Guineas.
Yep.
I think, say you had $100, I'd have 25 on Sheelight to win the Guineas and maybe 75 as a real spec bet on him in the Derby.
On Sheelight?
Yeah, I think he's a really nice animal.
Yeah. The Derby's such a strange one for me. I find it hard to bet in the Derby. Just a tough race, big field.
I've had my sickest ever beat for like big money. I had all these multis. I had like bets everywhere all the time, and they all just landed in Young Werther to win the Derby at like 26s, 29s, 21s, 15s, 9s. And I had Old Kirk to win the Caulfield Guineas that year.
Kirk.
All this stuff, man. And Dennis Pagan knocked me off with a horse that's never been in
Johnny, get angry.
Yeah.
Stop.
Mate, there was a tear shed in my old office, which is now my daughter's room, I tell you.
Oh, there you go. All right, we do get into the Toorak.
Yeah.
No, the Turnbull,
like
sorry, the Turnbull.
The Turnbull Stakes, which is a fat race. Flemington, real good form reference for the rest of the spring.
I'm going to go for sure. I'll be on track for this one. Try and get some mounting yard mail for myself.
Yeah, what do you like?
In this race?
Yeah.
I want to see Romantic Warrior, because with these horses first up overseas from a trip, if it was Europe, I'd be so dead against it. But Hong Kong's a little bit less. But I want to see Romantic Warrior in the yard, see how he looks, because I heard whispers that he wasn't eaten when he got here, which is massive if you're trying to get work into him early on. I heard Romantic Warrior wasn't eaten, but I just can't make sense of this market, Dicko. Maybe you can shed some light on it for me. I've got no idea who's going to Sydney, who's skipping. Like, the market on the tab just doesn't indicate who's going at all.
No, it's futures betting's like fraught with danger, unless I knew from a connection that this is what they were doing, I wouldn't sort of publicise it, because I don't want to be wrong. And I reckon that from a futures betting point of view, this race in particular, with the question marks around Romantic Warrior, but if it's half good and half okay, it probably wins. But they're giving you no juice in the price either. It's sort of a non-betting situation, but I think it's a race that's going to be a really big tell into the rest of the spring, and particularly the Cox Plate if Romantic Warrior lines up. I mean, fingers crossed, it is ridden cold, gets back, gets held up, doesn't win. And those of us that want to back it in the Cox Plate, you get a better price. Yeah, that's sort of the sickness in me. That's what I'll be aiming for. But it might be a pretty grim Cox Plate and a bit of a grim build-up if it just, like, hands and heels just puts these horses away.
100%.
You go to the footy Friday night?
I did go to the footy Friday night. Again, overindulged a little bit.
You had a big week.
Mate, I had a big week. But what do? I spend 3/4 of the year locked in my room eating vegetables and rice. Might as well give it a stab while I've got a chance. But yeah, footy Friday night, that was huge. That's one of the.
They were very, very, very lucky, Collingwood.
Oh, they were lucky as that. But also, you make your own luck in finals. You get yourself a little handy lead, you'll be right. Like, I seriously, like, you just get happy about it as a young man who grew up in Melbourne and watched my dad's mates and the things they love to do, and then my mates and what we love to do. Going to the footy and looking down at, after COVID especially, missing out for so long, looking down at the full packed MCG, and then this weekend I'm going on Saturday and knowing, like, I've got racing Friday night, I'll be at the Moyo Grand Final Eve. I've got the Grand Final on Saturday, and then that will lead us into the spring in proper, the racing season. I am like a kid at Christmas. I'm giddy with excitement about it.
I reckon one of the most underrated things about going to footy in Melbourne at the G is, like, setting yourself up, catching up with 2 or 3 mates that you don't see too often for 2 beers in Richmond or somewhere, and those 2 beers where you can't really hear anything, and then the walk in and just the buzz and the crowd.
Mate,
it's like an Olympic event or something, but if you're a Victorian in Melbourne, you get to do it a bunch of times every year.
It's so unique to, like, to Victoria in that sense and the way you do it. It's like I did a thing where I was trying to think of, like, where are the best circumstantial pubs? Like, pubs that are really good, but when do they just go to another level when something's happening? And I thought there's, like, the Corner Hotel before a game of Friday night footy.
Yeah.
Slaps. Great. The Ascot Vale Hotel after the races at Moonee Valley.
Yeah.
Unbelievable beer there. Like, where are the other ones that you just go, when there's something on, this is a great pub?
I have, like, all, just self-interest bias. I backed Ryan O'Keefe, Norm Smith at the Mountain View in Richmond, up the top there, and I waited like 40 minutes to get that bet on. So I just love that pub. Like, every time I go back there, I get, like, the feelings of that day. Brilliant. That titty bar on Punt Road.
The Royal. I walked past her on the way to the game on Friday, and the lineup genuinely wrapped around the corner. And
well, 2012, Jesus. I don't know if you went, but we won. The Swans we're talking about again, guys, if you're away from us. And I watched Paul Kelly play a concert after the game, who's my favourite probably singer all time. And my phone died. We were absolutely paro, and we just wanted to charge our phones. And we were in there for 10 minutes before we realised it was like they didn't wear tops. Like, it was unbelievable, man. It was one of the great nights of all time. Anyway, didn't say that for too long, Fems, if you're listening. That's 2012 too, by the way. Yeah. What a week to be Victorian, huh?
Unbelievable. Hey, should we get into Melbourne races this week?
Yeah, 100%.
Let's go Moonee Valley race 3, I think, is where I believe we should get into it. Interesting race. If you can find something here, you'll be laughing for the rest of that night.
I thought the whole meeting at Moonee Valley was actually quite tricky. I expect there'll be a genuine advantage to settle on speed, no matter what the distance is, but particularly the shorter trips. I think it's a meeting that you can sort of pick apart. There are a couple of key runners who run around at Moonee Valley that are nominated Sunday Sandown, for example, and the 2 horses that I'm going to push you into on the show are running at Sandown. So if I tip you them now and they scratch, have a look at the Sandown meeting on Sunday. But we look at race 3, which sees Najim Sahale back up after going ballistic down the inside there, down the straight at Flemington, against good horses, very good horses, and he was rock solid.
Yeah,
he was rock solid in the market. Versus a bunch of other horses that sort of thereabouts. This is a benchmark 84 only. Najim rightfully has to carry 62.5 kilos, and Mark Zara. We have a horse at Mailbag Bloodstock running around at Exeter. Not 100% sure we will run because didn't anticipate running into Najim Sahale in a benchmark 84. Yep. Have you got a view this race?
Yeah, 100%. It will be completely predicated on how the first 2 races play out in terms of shape. If they want the rail and it's hot, as it often is on a Friday night at the start of spring in Moonee Valley, it'll be a bet on Najim Sahale, especially if we're still getting anywhere near that 380 price. If it looks a little bit different, like maybe it gets irrigated a little different and for some reason they start going quicker and the tempo's quicker as well. You know what? I like what you said. Tempo predicts how the track's going to play more than the actual track. Sorry, the pattern's going to play. Then I'll be keen to have a go at Extreme Step from the outside barrier. Just a small go there. But that's how I'm going to play it. I'm going to wait. You know, she beat Nunthorpe not that long ago.
You are very, very sharp. I was rolling through this last night and saw that. Like, the Nunthorpe form, although it was a walk last week, it's still 2 from 2, right?
100%.
And this horse wasn't suited. The knock is, like you've mentioned it, it's probably not going to be suited here. But if by chance and you do your work and you're really astute and watching it and see a couple of horses make ground in the first 2 races, then this might be a good opportunity to make some money.
100%. It's more like the lanes that I'm interested in. Like if you can see them coming down the outside and these horses that have to draw wide around the valley, if they're making some ground up there, then that's where I want to have a little bet. But if they're not, if you see them at the front and everything on the inside gets quicker, on the outside they're going backwards, I'll be staying right away and looking for those horses that are going to be up the front.
I'm with you. I suspect Najim Sahel will likely be a play. I don't know what we're going to do with the early crow socials, the staking plans. That is just winning since inception. But we don't normally send out anything on a Friday night, so we'll have to sort of figure out.
Just do it. Push everything back a day, because Thursdays, like, your knockoff beers are going to be on Thursday this week because of the grand final. So everything just goes out earlier.
Okay, yeah, fair. Righto. Far has spoken. We shall listen. What else? What's the next race we're supposed to be doing?
Oh, look, I don't like much going on in race 4.
Hang on. Stand by. Moya Stakes, though.
Yes, it's the stakes.
Firstly, we need to get the mail. You did the work.
Grind.
So, track work Tuesday morning. What did you learn? What did you see? Give us some horses to confidently follow and some to get rid of.
Oh, here's the thing. I'm not going to be saying anything that is outside of the scope of what everybody's going to expect here. So I went down and I was introduced to Simon Miller, and he had the racing.com crew follow him. And I went down, I had my binoculars out and went to watch Amelia's Jewel do its work next to Simon Miller. And I'm there, you know what, I'm a student, right? I go there Sponge. And I'm trying to soak in. What are they saying? What are they looking for in these horses? What do they do as trainers, jockeys, strappers? What are they looking for to say this horse is going good? And I'm trying to soak it all in. And so I was listening to Nick Ryan last time. I was listening to Simon Miller this time. But the one thing that I wanted to see was, is Amelia's Jewel going to handle the valley? The big thing you look at is when she's running this way around on that big looping turn at the top end of the valley, can she make ground, and does she get a bit lost there, or is she really comfortable? And I reckon she was 2 lengths off this horse in front of her, because the instructions were to stay back. She was 2 lengths off this horse coming around the turn, and then I reckon I put the binoculars down for a couple of seconds just to have a look with my own eyes, lifted them back up, and she was level. Literally, it was like that. And then as they've turned and finished off the turn, she was just under a complete hold, not moving, straight past it. Like, she breaks the clock. And I took the first price on offer when they opened the markets for this.
What was that?
I took $1.50.
Oh, you are.
No, wait. I took $1.50 into Imperatrice at $1.80. That is a bet. It's a bet.
Yeah. Anything else to report from track work? And then we'll dive into the Amelia's Jewel race.
There's one horse I'm going to try and have a look. I haven't had time to go back through and watch the trials watch the work online on Moonee Valley's website. But there was a horse with a red helmet that worked, and I didn't get to see. I watched the work and then I couldn't figure out who it was. So I'm going to go back and watch that. But then Nick Ryan had a horse, Hurricane, which looked really good in work. Really smart horse, 4-year-old.
Horse that went to Bendigo, started really short, missed, but got that SP profile, now positive track report.
Yep.
That it handles the valley, which is the valley's just going to be rocking for the rest of summer. So there's going to be horses going and winning.
Plenty of races there.
Let's look at race 6. It's the Stock Stakes over the mile, which is 600 metres. It's a Group 2 weight for age, mares only, 300k race. it's essentially like, can you find something to get around to avoid this favourite? The speed map I've got, the 9 knowledge will just control. Pride of Jenny should go forward. Then I think sort of Papillion clubs. Sione won't be aggressive. Party Princess, Affair, Suva, cannot pronounce its name. Number 9, got him gone. Toy Story Walking Power. I think Amelia's Jewel will be second last pair, not last pair.
Yeah.
I think they'll be anxious to not be too far back and set her too big of a task. If she fails on Friday night, it is a bloody big setback for them and their horse. I think Steinem will go back this early in a prep, and Papali doesn't have any sort of profile to be aggressive here. Is there any threats to your bet here?
No. What I will do though, see the barrier annoys me, but thought provoking from barrier 10. They know from barrier 9, Amelia's Jewel isn't going to compete to go forward. So thought provoking has in the past gone forward and sat one out, one back, or sat in the lead and won. And I actually don't think the form coming into this race by thought provoking is bad. So if the rail's really hot and they're going to be positive on thought provoking and go forward just from that outside barrier rather than go backwards, then I might have a go at thought provoking just as a very small play.
Well, one thing I would just say, don't want to sound condescending.
No.
Horses first up, like, less likely to be aggressive on.
Right.
So it's the start of its sort of spring campaign. So like last prep, it went to Mornington an 80k race first up and settled, back third. Then the next two starts, so they put it into the race. But this is a winnable race if you think you can beat the favourite, and you're not. Like, they aren't. Then there's no way they're going to beat the horse if they try and tag Amelia's Jewel.
Correct. So maybe just there for a run then.
Potentially, but also, you booked Jamie Carr. Last prep, they kicked off with Celine Gaudray. The prep prior, they kicked off with Jamie Carr and they settled 4th in a field of 11, but they drew barrier 1 that day.
Yeah.
I anticipate a lack of intent from that horse, but I'm wrong all the time. Like I keep saying to you, just got to be right.
Where do you think the speed comes from early?
There's no speed. That's what I'm thinking.
That's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm thinking. If it jumps clean and there's a bit of, why wouldn't Jamie take it to the front if the rail's hot by race 6?
No, she well might. I'm just saying that there's a chance she won't. I think Sione will be ridden like half coal, but it'll be midfield. Yeah. And I think with your horse, Amelia's Jewel, D-Lane's the perfect rider. He is the best in Australia at sitting 3 wide, no cover, and just keeping a horse in a rhythm and not panicking.
Yep.
And that's I reckon highly likely what's going to need to happen here.
Yeah.
Billy Pinn goes back on to deny knowledge. If anyone out there just hates favourites and wants to back a horse in this race, I think the $15 sort of dollars deny knowledge. It's just Thursday morning. I think that's the safest way to play the race outside of the favourite, who I just think is going to be extremely hard to beat. But he's shopped too good the far, because $1.35 best price available now.
That's ridiculous.
She's not Winx. She might become Winx, but she's not Winx yet, and I just would have to.
But then again, she's not racing against Hartnell and Ben Battle and those in this, is she? Yep.
No, fair, true, and we've importantly got the mail that the horse loves has handled the Valley.
Loves
accelerate
the
on the corner. That's good gear on the camber. The next race we'll do. Let's do the Moya 1,000 metre sprint with your horse. You declared it first up on the early crow, and fuck me, did it not deliver? One of the great race performances I've ever seen. This horse, this is what shits me the most about the Giga Kick narrative. If it won, no one would have knocked the ride.
100%.
It looked like it was going to win.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, this other horse made it look like second rate.
Yeah,
it's an unbelievable performance from Imperatrice, and it lines up again here as a pretty short price favourite for.
Yeah, look, I've taken the $1.80 in a multi with Amelia's Jewel, just to enjoy those races and have a small little collect if both the favourites get up. I think this one, if you want to find something else, it's going to be tough because, Acro Mantula will probably ping to the front there, but showed last time out that over the 1,000 probably didn't have the ability to do that in this class. So then you bring you down. You go, all right. I've got Uncommon James and ask for it. Is Uncommon James first up? Am I right there?
Yeah, and trialled really, really well.
Yep. So you got
I think from a speed map point of view, this is a scary race. Zeus Style fast wants to lead. Rothfire, Black Shin's aggressive. That's the inside draws. There's pace. Acromantula wants to go forward. Generation, Mark Zara, like he's not going to lead, but he still wants to make sure they know he's going to pretend he wants to inject even more speed. And then Uncommon James, it's been on pace all night, baby. What are we doing? We're going to sneak, are we? Like, I don't think they are. They have to sort of ride the speed 3 or 4 maybe wide, and then, which is really hard to handle as a form analyst. I've got to try and figure out what Henry Dwyer and Mitchell Aiken are going to do in a Group 1 mad tempo race from barrier 6 on a horse that wants to go forward too.
Yeah. It's a tough one. I'm just very similar to that Giga Kick race where you go, okay, is everyone going to think the rail's on? So everyone's going to ping out the gates and go hard to keep that front position. Tempo is going to be hot and you get a back marker run over him or someone a bit deeper run over him. And then that's where Imperatrice at the $1.80 steams past him again.
2 from 2 the track, 1 from 1 now track and trip. I think the Inferno's slide overs. I think if I owned the Inferno, instructions to Jacob Noonan would be all we need to do, mate, is just find Opie's bum and just tag it and just run home with the mare and see if we're any good.
Think you got the turn of foot to do that?
Probably not, but
see if we're there, yeah.
But at the price, I think she's going to be very, very hard to beat, and which is sort of what I got to at the start of the show. Like, it makes the meeting reasonably lean.
Yeah.
Any other bets you've got at the Valley that you want to go over?
Just one. I think I've got Skirt the Law in the last of the day, race 8 for Tony Gollan.
Group 3.
Group 3
3-year-old
race.
fillies, Scarborough Stakes, 1,200 metres. This is a nice race, good horses. We saw a lot of these horses come through the straight race at Flemington. Got a couple coming from Sydney, and they also sort of come through that Skirt the Law Charmstone race at Caulfield.
Look, this is the big question mark here is, does Skirt the Law handle the Valley? That's like such a big, for me, as being a Valley guy, that's such a big question mark for me. But if you look at the form here, you go first up this prep, second behind Charmstone, less than a length. That's pretty good form reference for this horse coming into this.
As good as form reference as there is at the moment.
Huge. At Flemington, over the 1,100. Don't know if the straight suits. You got third there behind She's All Shenanigans. Again,
and bloody
not bad.
Stretton Angel.
What's that?
And Stretton Angel.
And Stretton Angel, exactly. So then you go, all right, we're coming into this race, and you can get $4 for her now. I think that's really good. Inhibitions, I actually watched Inhibitions work with Heuristic at the Valley, and I just thought average.
Yeah, okay.
Just average, but I wouldn't take much into that.
I actually have, because it's the only horse here that's had two starts at this track. It's the only horse with Moonee Valley experience in this race, and it's gone track work.
Yeah.
So I kind of lean to it at the start as a starting point, and then I grade myself up because I respect what you've said. You've done the work. I think this race is super, super tricky. I think Ulanova can improve. It was heavily backed to beat Charmstone and Skirt the Law that day at Caulfield. It was inferior ground, plain, trialled since. Ollie goes on. She's All Shenanigans, won and hard to knock, but it did start a huge price that day. I think there's genuine good speed in this race, and track pattern is key to how you want to bet. There's two ways you sort of view the map here for Osmar. It might love the Valley or it might hate it, and it's going to be able to be held up inside horses and just run in a pack to handle the camber, but it's going to need a split at the right time in a very busy race, and you're going to be praying to every god at the 500 because you'll look like you got horse because she's just in the pack travelling. The two horses that interest me in this race as bets, and it's purely price because of price, are the 9 Ostmar and the 8 Chilled. Chilled gets Jamie Carr on. It's also in on Sunday at Sandown. They come through the same race from Sandown, which is actually quite a quick race, and I think the market sort of doesn't know how to handle a Sandown reference versus horses that raced at Flemington. And I think they're the edge in the betting. They'll both be thereabouts, sort of midfield or better. But it's a race where nothing would really surprise me, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair.
The other bet I've got for you, Far, race 5. This horse, I think, is special, above average, and I really, really, really like this bet. There's a lot of these horses in race 5, which is the Stut Stakes. It's a Group 2 for the boys, the 3-year-old boys, getting out to the mile. But most of these horses come through a windy run Flemington race where the wind was an enormous factor, and there's horses here that were blessed by the wind and weren't blessed by the wind. I think King of Fighters, who started maybe 40s, 30s or 50s that day, was really blessed by being covered up in the wind. It's a run where if there was no wind, it looked like it was badly held up 3 or 4 times, but I think it was actually a horse that was blessed. We've got Fist of Fury, who comes out of that brutally run Valley race, so there's a bit of Valley form there, but that was a brutally run race I don't really trust. I'm going right outside the box here and flaring a little bit up, but Verdad's win at Bendigo was that of a very, very good horse. The market, I think, doesn't love Bendigo as a form reference versus Flemington, and I do. I think this horse is special. I think this horse will get absolute PR map-wise. It'll roll forward, it can coffin, it can sit 1-1, it could lead. So I've got no worry about where it'll be and run. It's 650 everywhere. I would not be surprised if this thing completely steams and caves and starts like with a 3 in front of it. It's also in on Sunday. So if you want to follow me, make sure you keep an eye on the scratchings, or maybe just back them in both joints. It won't run at both and you get your money back at one. But I haven't done the race at Sandown in the near the detail I've done the Moonee Valley race, and I just absolutely love Verdad. It's the best bet for me for the whole weekend anyway.
Whew, that's a big push. Like it.
That's probably ponies, especially at the Valley. Do we want to just do our best to run our eye over the Epsom up in Sydney on Grand Final Day?
Yeah, let's
AFL
just do the
Grand
Epsom.
Final Day.
Yeah.
A race far that's kind of dropped off a little bit, I reckon. Once upon a time, one of the great races. It's a half limited field. We see horses that predominantly come through Randwick and Rose Hill races. There's a little bit of outside work with horses like Pounding coming from Victoria. There's a little bit of tie into the All-Star Mile with horses like the Inevitable and My Oberon. And then there's Democracy Manifest, one of the best named horses in Australia. Shout out to Butch who sold him. Have you regretting that on Saturday if this thing wins? The peg. It comes through a Newcastle win. So there's angles everywhere. The speed's just... I've done my best at a speed map far. It's chaos. Going global, Converge, Communist, Rendinier, Nugget, Golden Mile, Pounding, Kerwin's Lane, and maybe even Williamsburg with Inevitable, the sort of first bunch. I think Hope in Your Heart, Waterford, Barbie's Fox, Diamel, Democracy Manifest back midfield, and then the rest of them back at the rear. Have you got any opinions here?
Yeah, I've got my best of the weekend.
Best of the weekend?
Yeah, my best bet of the weekend. Each way bet on Kovalika.
Ooh.
Kovalika, each way bet. Joe Moreira on board, massive tick. Unbeaten at the distance, love second up. I think set here, going to run a huge race, Kovalika. I've had a huge opinion of this horse for a while, and I just think if I look at the 3 horses above it in the market, not much between them if it runs well. It's I'm going to go with Kovalika each way, and I'm going to try and get a good price early because I think they'll come for it a little bit.
Cheeky little jump out in between the run too to just
Yep.
enhance that second up that profile. Nice work. Yep. The 3 horses I like in the Epsom are Democracy Manifest. I think you can get a sneaky run. You're going to need a lot of luck. But
Tyler Schiller, big tick as well, I think.
Yeah, I'm happy at the price to sort of pray for a bit of luck in a big race. I love a horse here. I was so impressed with him last preparation. I think it's the toughest, most consistent animal in Australia. Pounding. J Carr on, barrier 13, rider speed, 3 wide cover somewhere. I think it's a stupid price. And the other 2 I'm going to back heavily. Not heavily, actually, that's a lie. No, I can't lie. Far. They're the two I'm going to back in the Epsom, and I will have something small at the inevitable Barrier 8. Draws to get a really soft run. The last little close on it last start was just enormous. I think it's going to run a good race, but it's a wide open race, and we'll have a staking plan from Paps on Saturday on our socials for that race. Where should we head to now?
I don't know. What have we
I've
got
got to stop
on
asking. Like, I'm supposed to be hosting this.
Yeah, you're in charge here, mate. I'm a guest. I'm filling in. I'm the substitute teacher.
Down straight to Papley, and the Swans pounce again. That is just so exciting.
He's happy with it. He's happy.
He enjoyed it.
There's Pappenhausen now. The Pap.
AFL Grand Final, the Lions, Collingwood. It's been a good week on Fox Footy. We've seen some of the old, like, I don't know, 2000 and something. The Nick Davis, Alan Didak, Pressure G, Como, Scotty Burns. When Scotty Burns tried to line up Vossi, and Vossi jumped straight back up, got that handball, fed Simon Blake, kicks a goal, and he gets right in Burns' fucking face. So that's when footy was at its best, in my opinion. We see these two massive clubs go at it now again on Saturday. The Lions probably the in-form team, but they are away from home versus the Pies, who haven't kicked many points the last two games, but they've got the job done, and they find themselves in a grand final.
Yep. Oh, mate, what a weekend. Saturday, look, I've got to go. It's busy for me. I've got to go to the Moya Stakes Friday night, and I like the Valley on a Friday night. It's a vibe. You got the notorious young calf, Benny Allen, is going to be DJing, so it's going to be hard. Yeah, he's DJing. It's going to be hard to keep a lid on it there. Then I've got to be up at 10 a.m. at Birrung Ma for the kick across the Yarra.
Oh, are you having a kick?
Yeah, and my friends will relentlessly take the piss out of me because out of the 15 blokes in our group chat, I am undoubtedly the worst kick. You know,
but you got those
footy.
massive leg kicks. If you coincidentally just
get the right,
yeah,
like the power's there, the technique lacks.
But like, you know, 1 in 20, you're going to find that sweet spot, and if that happens to be on TV, then
I reckon
all of a sudden
you've got
a Sharon floating across the Yarra.
I've got to go the Torp.
Yeah,
have to go the Torp.
Yeah.
And then straight to the Granny, and I'm gonna have a little bet here. I think Collingwood win.
Ooh.
Right, I think Collingwood win, and I think if Collingwood win, Geordie De Goey plays out of his skin. I think if Geordie and that midfield don't get going, the Brisbane forwards are too strong. Okay, so I'm going to go Collingwood win, Geordie De Goey, Norm Smith.
I like Brisbane, and I predominantly like Brisbane for their recent form and the weather.
They've won 1 of 15 at the MCG.
Yeah, but their recent form, the boys are up. The boys are up and about. And if it was a slippery, cold Melbourne day where their forward line is a thing of beauty, it's powerful, and on a dry day, I think it'll be a real asset. And I think the Norm Smith will be, and I can't believe I'm ever going to say this, but Danaher. I reckon he might kick a bag. Like he could just get off the leash and go big. Yeah. And that'll do us for this week's edition of the Early Crow as Lenny joins us.
We've got to give one bit of advice to the punters. It is going to be 28 degrees on Saturday. You're going to get around the boys early, probably about 11 to start watching the pre-game entertainment and all that sort of stuff. Make sure you pace yourself for the day. In that hot weather, you're not going to be used to that hot weather. You're going to want to just drink. Pace yourself. It's a long day. The game doesn't start until mid-afternoon.
My bit of advice to the young bloke out there, just planning to have a big day, like a proper big day, is solid breakfast, but not too heavy. Zinc type sunscreen just across the nose and cheeks, because you're going to be out in the sun all day long. 2 beers. When it's your shout, go to the bar, get yourself a water, neck that, and you'll be sweet.
Yeah, done. Good advice.
And don't forget to get on board with the merch. The merch is by ORTC Custom. It's the best quality merch I've ever had. Go and get yours now. The link's in our bios on Twitter or Instagram. They handle everything from design to warehousing and shipping. Find them. Their socials will be up on ours. Have a phenomenal, and I mean an outstanding weekend. It's one of the great weekends in Australia. And don't forget the Ryder Cup as well. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to The Early Crow. Follow the socials immediately. You already should, but if you're not, do it again. Make sure you have, because we will be giving out our staking plans for Saturday's racing across our socials. Yeah, bye for now.